Hey there everybody, Nate Brown here, and welcome to section 10 of my tutorial on how to make a basic animation rig in Blender. In this video we're going to be doing a quick quality check of our rig to make sure that all of the bones that we want to have deform checked off have it checked off, and then vice versa, the ones that we do not want checked off are not checked off. And then we will be finally skinning our model to our skeleton and completing our rig. So let's get started. Let's start with our quality check. Bring yourself into edit mode. And we want to confirm that all of the bones that we want to affect our mesh have deform turned on, whereas all of the other ones do not. Now the bones that we do want deform checked off on, and you'll see that again in your bone properties tab on the right hand side here, the ones that we do want deform checked off on are going to be our foot bones here, our leg bones, our root bone, all of our spine bones, not the position ones, mind you, just the middle pieces here, our chest bone, our neck, and our head bone. And then going into the arms, we will want to avoid the clavicle. In this case, for this model, we don't want the clavicle to affect anything. That'll be a non-deforming bone. But the bicep, and we want to make sure this is our bound bicep. Our bound bicep will have deform checked off, whereas our IK and FK bicep will not. Again, for the forearm, the bound forearm will have it checked off. The bound wrist, again, will have it checked off, where IK and FK will not. Then going into the hand, we will want our hand rotator to have it checked off, because that is going to affect two of our vertices at the edge of the hand there. All of our finger bones we want it checked off for. And then all of our thumb bones, except for this rotator piece. This rotator piece will be a non-deforming bone. Everything else that I did not just mention there, we will want to make sure is set up as a non-deforming bone. So just pause the video and quickly go through your rig and select each of your bones and make sure that deform is either checked off or not checked off based on what type of bone it is, and make sure that they're all set up correctly. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've gone through my entire skeleton and I've checked on all of the bones. They all seem to be set except for one. I did notice that our arm socket our arm socket bone is not set up correctly. So if we look at our arm socket up here underneath clav, right here, I had the arm sockets both on the right and left set up as deforming bones, so we'll want to uncheck that on those ones. You may have already done this, but if not, just make sure you do that. Perfect. Now our skeleton is set up correctly, our quality check is complete, so we can skin our model to our skeleton now. Now before we go ahead and skin our model to our skeleton, one thing I always like to do is make a separate save, maybe just titled something along the lines of Blockman Unskinned, or whatever you're calling your model, Unskinned, so that if you ever made a new model that you wanted to use this skeleton on, you could always go back and easily find this file, and you won't have to unparent anything. You can just kind of grab that skeleton and apply it to a new mesh very easily. Now to skin our model to our skeleton right now, what we're going to do is go into object mode, and we'll want to select our mesh first, but our mesh is all these different pieces right now, so why don't we select that and combine that together first. So what I'm going to do is in our little drop down here that has our cursor and our eye symbol, I'm going to uncheck the cursor next to armature so that when we select all of this, it's not going to select the armature at all. With box select selected, I can grab all those pieces, and then we can right click and we can hit join. While we're at it, let's also apply all of our transforms to this, just so that we have a nice clean mesh to attach to our skeleton. So I'm going to do Control A, and we're going to do all transforms. It's always a good idea to clean up your mesh and just make it so that it's nice and zeroed out and clean before you put it onto your skeleton. Now to skin this to our armature, what we're going to do is first select our mesh, then shift select your armature. Whoops, we still can't select our armature, that's the problem. Just turn that back on here. So select your mesh, then shift select your armature. Then you can just right click. We can go down to parent. We can go up to where it says armature deform. We're going to choose one of these under here. Now normally if you were doing a organic character, you would likely want to do with automatic weights. But in this case, I want to select all of these very rigidly and very specifically. So I'm going to do with empty groups. Select that. And now if we just select our mesh, over on the right hand side, we can go down to this vertex group section here, and it's going to show us all of our vertex groups that it just created when we did that skinning, that parenting. We can scroll through this list and it's going to give us all these vertex groups that are named after the different deformer bones that we have here. And now what we can do is we can basically select vertices in edit mode, then select the group we want them to be in, and we can add influence to this. So I'm going to put myself in a front view. And why don't we start with, we'll start with the mid body here, some of the bigger pieces. Go into edit mode. And we're also going to want to be in wireframe mode so that when we select these vertices, we can select the ones in the back as well as the ones that are on the front of him. And I'm then going to have my box select selected here. And we can just start selecting vertices. Make sure that when you're selecting them, you're always selecting them with the box select so that you get both the vertices in the front and the ones in the back. I'm going to select those ones, and I'll shift select these ones, and we're just selecting whole pieces of his body right now to add to these different groups. So this one obviously is going to be added to the chest section here. Select chest, and then we hit assign. And it's going to assign these with this weight here, which we have set to 1.0, which is 100%. So these vertices are going to be 100% affected by the chest bone. We can do the same thing for the pieces down as we go down here. This will be spine 3. This will be spine 2. And this will be spine 1. Just selecting them all, selecting the bone I want it assigned to, and then hitting assign. If you accidentally select one or assign a vertices to the wrong one, you do have to go in and find the bone and select the vertex, go into the bone that you want and hit remove. It'll remove any weighting to that one. That'll be a lot more obvious when we start to move him around later on, and you can adjust that later if you made any mistakes. This piece is going to be assigned to the root. Then we can go down the legs. This one will be his left thigh. We can do thigh, leg, thigh, left. This one will be the left shin. This is the right thigh. And this is the right shin. Then if we change our view a little bit, this one, the feet are a little trickier because you can't really get them from a side view or anything, but we can select all the vertices like this as well. This one will be the left ankle. This will be the left toe. And then again, this will be the right ankle. You can also shift select these vertices if that's easier for you. And this will be the right toe. Next, let's do the neck and the head. We can go back to our front view for this part. Do our arms next. We want to select all of these pieces for the bicep. I've accidentally gotten a couple extra there. Okay. This will be the left bicep, including the shoulder there. This will be the forearm. And then we can do a top view for the hand. This here will be the left hand, but I'm going to only select these 3 corners of it, because that corner is going to be affected by the hand rotator. So these ones will be affected by the left wrist. Then this corner will be affected by the hand rotator. And then all of these pieces will just be the finger pieces. So we've got pinky number 1, pinky number 2, and pinky number 3, ring number 1, ring number 2, and ring number 3, middle 1, middle 2, and middle 3, index number 1, index number 2, and index number 3. Make sure you're on the left side as well. We've got our thumb number 1. The thumb being at a different angle is a little harder you'd have to kind of select the corners individually. Perfect. Head over to the right side, and we can actually do this from the top view here. I'm just going to grab his shoulder and bicep, and this will be bicep right. This will be forearm right. We can start working on the hand. Again, we're just going to grab these 3 corners, and this will be wrist right. This corner here will be the hand rotator right, and then all the pieces of the fingers. Pinky 1, pinky 2, pinky 3, ring 1, ring 2, and ring 3, middle 1, middle 2, and middle 3, index 1, index 2, and index 3, and then our thumb. We've got thumb 1, thumb 2, and thumb 3. Okay, and I think we've gotten everything now. What we can do to test that out, though, is start moving them around and see if any vertices get left behind. If they do, that means we forgot them and they need to be assigned to something still. To do that, what we can do is go back into object mode, select our armature, and then we go into pose mode, and we can move our guy around, and you'll see the mesh will actually follow with him. Now I am noticing there's actually a piece missing right here. We must have forgotten to assign that. That looks like the middle section of his index finger there. So let's go back into our object mode, select our mesh, and go into edit mode. Grab myself a top view here. And it looked like it was this piece here. Whoops, make sure you're in wireframe mode so you get it all. And that would be index 2 left. That should do it. Let's try that again. Object mode, select our armature, and then into pose mode. And we can move our guy around. No pieces are being left behind this time. And let's try out some of our functionality just to see him moving around. In our foot, we can move that around. We see the knee is bending the way we want. Nothing's deforming, which is excellent. We wanted everything to be kind of rigid on this guy since he's a block man. We can go in and we can use all our different foot uses here. We've got our ball lift, our heel swivel, and so on. That's all looking good. We can move this guy's body around a little bit like that. We can move our hands around. Let's make sure the IK and FK are looking good on that. That is looking pretty good to me. And let's try out moving his spine pieces around as well. You can select all of those at the same time if you want to. And you can move him all around at the same time. And there we have it, a completed rig with all of the functionality you need to make quality character body animations. This rig is an excellent one to have in your toolbox because it's so simple and easy to work with, and it's great for just doing some test animations or even throwing into a game concept that you're working on as a placeholder asset. That way you can just jump in and get your ideas out there. I want to thank you all for following along, and please, if there are any issues you run into or if there's something you don't understand, leave a comment for me and I'll do my best to help you out. Thanks everyone. I'll see you in future tutorials.